This podcast, The Good, The Bad and The Vagina, is brought to you by me, Tess Lovely, a retired midwife, birth keeper, mother and sovereign woman. The views shared are my own and those of my guests. If something doesn't resonate, release it. It's not meant to upset or offend. If you feel discomfort, please seek support for your own healing. If you don't like what you hear, don't listen. This space honours truth, freedom and expression, protected under the rights to free speech. Welcome to The Good, The Bad and The Vagina. Let's get started. Hello, Mimi. How are you? And welcome to The Good, The Bad and The Vagina.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to do this with you. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, so thank you.
It has. As you know, I don't kind of really take any formal agenda with any of these, so I'm just going to kind of give a brief synopsis of how we met, and then I'll let you do an introduction of who you are and what you do and why you're here, sort of thing. So we met at a Torbay business program. There's a thing run by Kim Thornton locally, and it's about setting up businesses. So that's where we first met, and we've kind of just sort of connected because you do yoga. That's kind of your bag, your main thing. And I'm quite keen to get yoga involved with pregnant women with me, and we're kind of trying to navigate and work out how best we can do this together, this little project. I'm aware you've got one child. So I'd love to hear all about your birthing experience, because there's something a little bit unique around that. And also just the whole sort of infrastructure of your Kismattu. Is that how you pronounce it?
Kismattu, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I'd got that right. So, Mimi, welcome, and over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, so we met at the Torbay business thing, and it was just when I first came back from India, and I just set up being back in the UK. So I was just trying to figure out how I can navigate doing life here is like running my own business, because when I came back, I was a first time single parent. So I was like, I just need to try and navigate a way that I can work, make money, provide for my son, all while doing everything alone. And I really want to just teach yoga. That's what I want to do. But sometimes, when you're self-employed teaching yoga, some months you'll have a great month, and some months will be completely empty and nothing's running because of the summer holidays or Christmas holidays or etc. etc. So yeah, trying to learn more about business and being a woman in business, being a single mum in business. That's where I've been out on my journey for the last 2.5 years now. I was in India before I came to Torbay. I was there for 4 years. That's where my love of yoga, meditation, healing, that sort of thing happened. And that was also where I got my son in India, which we'll go into in a minute. So yeah, it's been quite a roller coaster. Just trying to navigate all these things, being a mum. So yeah, that's a little background on me.
That's incredible. I love the fact that you have embraced like a real passion of something that's really great and healing and wholesome for you, and that you're able to move forward with that and think, I'm going to do this as a career pathway, because it's not an easy thing to get into. It's really difficult. And I think for you, you've got an additional challenge on that, haven't you? Because
Yeah.
you do actually have a disability.
Yeah, that's why being born, I was born with a limb difference. So having that, I didn't think I could ever teach yoga. I didn't think I could ever do yoga, let alone teach yoga. So when I was in India and I was doing a lot of the classes, and when I first went, it was more meditation, and I was just comfortable. And people were like, you should do yoga, you should do yoga. And I was just like feeling inadequate, seeing all these people doing all of these beautiful poses. And I was just like, yeah, I'll never be able to do it. And I started going to classes, doing things all wrong, but I was really enjoying it, and I was having a great time. Then when I came back, I was like not in a good space mentally. So I was like, I really want to just try and do the yoga teacher training more for my own benefit, to better my practice, so that I have something for myself, not just being in this chaotic life. So I was doing my teacher training, and I found an amazing teacher. She's based in India, and she is just fantastic. It was not me trying to fit into yoga. She taught me how yoga can fit into me. And I think that is such an important thing that I try and give out to the people that I'm teaching, that not you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be able to touch your toes. You don't have to be like the Instagram aesthetic. You can just show up how you are, and we can make yoga work for you however you are. I think actually it's really important that people do see people with a difference teaching and being different, because I feel like it gives them that confidence and that belief that they can also do it as well. So yeah, I think it's really important what I do.
I think it's inspirational as well, especially because your limb difference is like an arm, and it's in terms of getting your balance within yoga. That's quite a challenge. I struggle sometimes. I topple over with my balancing when I'm doing yoga. But adapting and enabling yourself to do that is just so inspirational. What do you think has been the driver behind all of that?
For me, I feel like I've always, because I was born this way, I've always had to work harder. I've always had to always step it up. So my resilience has always been there from when I was a child. Always when you get bullied or people tell you can't, or a lot of these things, for me, my driving force has always just been that resilience. Also, like my parents were just like, you're on your own. I was doing a lot of things for myself from a very early age. Before I was 10 years old, cooking for myself and stuff like that. So I didn't really have that someone carrying me through. I had to just get up and do it. And those challenges as a child, it's easy to sort of figure things out and really problem solve. And that's a benefit that I've had through having my arm, is that I've had to just figure things out and not really had much choices. When I was younger, it was like, oh, why me? Why me? But actually now I'm seeing so much benefits and just having a lot of gratitude for the situation I'm in, because I see also a lot of young girls who have like limb differences, and I think it's okay, so I don't think I can't. When I was younger, we didn't really have all this social media. We didn't have people in the media. We had the Paralympics, but we didn't have what we have now. We have these huge online communities of people running marathons with no legs. I know a guy who's in India. He's got no leg, and he's got half legs, one arm, and he's doing the Everest base camp trek. These things are so inspiring, and we can hear about it now. We never heard about that 30 years ago. It was a different time then. So I think having all of these things, and you're like, it drives you more forward, and you're like, yeah, we can all do this, and we can all get behind it. So it's good.
Social media is a bit of a double-edged sword, though, isn't it? Because you get that perfect image that people post out, and that can be really eroding on your well-being mentally and emotionally. Even for my young daughter, who's at prime pickings 18, looking at these people's perfect lives that they're advertising out there, and sometimes I can feel that lands on her quite jarringly. But on the other extreme, it's been really beneficial and beautiful for you, because it's been inspiring that you're being able to draw on other people and go,
Mhm.
well, if they can do that, I can do this. Easy.
Yeah. I agree. I do agree. And there's also a lot, like with all that, there is a lot of negativity. I get a lot of negativity, like comments, a lot of comments for usually, typically, I don't want to just judge, but it's always from like the same kind of profile where they haven't got a face, they haven't got, and they're private accounts, and they just come on there writing negativity. So you do get that as well. And I think, yeah, that's just part and parcel with the whole online thing. And it's actually sad. I actually feel sorry for people that have, their life's that sad that they have to come and be negative to someone who's trying to do like a good thing. And you're right as well with the young girls and all these filters and fillers. And I try and not do that. I never put makeup on, but then again, I touch up some videos for the lighting and stuff like that. So it is difficult, but it's a time I think we're just all going to have to navigate and just put our best foot forward, really.
When people are posting negative things, or in my experience, when I've encountered things that I felt have been really challenging, or I felt like I've been targeted, and I've really tried it hard when I'm experiencing those things to just feel their pain, because they're in pain. They're not actually recognizing their pain. What they're doing is trying to project their pain out and put somebody else down so that they can feel better. So I just send them love. I bet that's your yoga has taught you an awful lot of that, hasn't it? Because that's the core principles behind it, isn't it?
Yeah, like the first step in yoga is actually like non-violence. So that's non-violence to others and non-violence. And this is not something that comes naturally easy to me. Like before yoga, before meditation, I was naturally more aggressive and hot-headed and stuff. So attacking and like very defensive. So it's not an easy thing for me, but yoga's definitely taught me so much. Like that's one of my favorite things about yoga is I don't have to always react. I don't have to argue with these people on the internet. I just don't have to do it. I can just, block, move on, have a nice day, send love, and hopefully they can have some healing at some point.
Hopefully the healing that you send will land in there somewhere for them. So the next thing that I really am excited to talk about is the birth of your son. I don't know the actual details of the birth itself, which I'm really keen to hear about, but it's a really, really brilliant journey because of where and how it unfolded. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so it's so exciting, and I'm so glad I can actually talk to you about this and give you like my full story about it because it was so interesting. It was such an interesting time. So I got pregnant in India very quickly with a guy, with my son's dad. And this was in 2020, like summer 2020. So it was in the middle of lockdown, in the middle of India. Oh, this is great. I was just like, I don't really know what to do. So when I found out, I had a big shock. Like I wasn't planning or anything like that. It just sort of happened. And yeah, part of me was like, I just don't know what I'm gonna do. And everyone told me, you have to go to England, you have to go home, you can't possibly do that. My family were like, we're gonna have to go and get her from India, and there's no flights, there's like it's just not that time. And part of the reason I decided I'm gonna do this in India, because at the time I did not know when I would be able to get back for him to see his son. So that was my thing. Like I always knew, and this is something I still carry in me today, that I always know if I had a child, that child is going to know both the parents, come what be. Like you make a kid, you have that responsibility, and that's the end of it. And not just his dad, but the whole family out there, whole community. He's got cousins. So I was like, if I go, when am I ever going to be able to get back? And not knowing how this, I knew how it was in India as lockdown, but you're hearing all how lockdown is in the UK, and you just don't know what's going on. And I was perfectly happy in India, the sunshine and loving life. So I was like, okay, I'm going to stay in India. Um, that came with like a lot of challenges with like visas and stuff like that as well. So there was that whole stress of being put on. My pregnancy wasn't nice. I was vomiting pretty much the whole way through, couldn't eat anything. Spicy food is like the go-to there. And I was just like, I actually just can't do anything. I like could barely manage like just plain pasta, plain crackers, and that's it. So that was quite challenging.
What was their care system? Sorry to interject. I'm just curious about what maternity care that you got in your pregnancy.
I'll get onto that.
Well, okay,
As,
sorry.
as I'm struggling now to do anything, I was like, I want a home birth. I was like, I'm gonna have a home birth. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be magical. I want to do hypnobirthing because it's COVID. Nothing's going on. I'm being sick. I'm in bed all day, like on the Google. Well, I want a home birth. So I was looking at all these hypnotherapy, obviously, because I'm into that sort of lifestyle. Anyway, so then I was like, that's what I want to do. And his family were like, no, it's not happening. And I was just like, yes, it is. It's happening. And so I tried to look really hard for a midwife. Do like anyone that could help me have this experience. And it was near impossible to find it. He went to the hospital, got the scan, and I just went to like a pretty generic standard hospital, wasn't fancy. Then I was like, okay, having to like make decisions because healthcare over there, over here you have like NHS and private. That's the two. But over in India you have like government, a bit above government, and then various levels of private, how much you want to pay. So there was all of these like decisions and stuff, and yeah, I couldn't find a midwife because in India now the very standard is C-section. Pretty much everyone just gets booked in C-section, none. And I was like, I don't want a C-section. It's not happening. Absolutely not happening. Then I found a birthing center, but it was like 4 or 5 hours north. And I was just like, it's just as much as I would have loved to have done it, it was just not really, it just wasn't very practical, the location it was and the expense of everything. So I was just like, okay. So then I was like, okay, go to the hospital. So then I went to like a very nice hospital. It's called Kim's. It was like state of the art, everything. Went there, they were like, yeah, have a scan. Every scan's £100. You're gonna have to do the whole Down syndrome test, do all of this stuff. And then a part of me, I was just like, this is getting loud. They just want money. They just want money from me, because I was like, the Down syndrome test, you're actually putting a needle inside to the baby. So I was like, it's not happening. I was like, the baby's got Down syndrome. I don't care. I'm not doing the test. So then I was like, I was a bit like angry, because I don't want to be paying. And they were telling me come in every month for a scan. I was like, I'm not coming in every month just for a scan, because it's £100
Wow.
every time I'm coming in, plus all the other extras that you're going to be charging me. So I was like,
Was there a language barrier as well?
big language. So in the Kims, it was kind of okay. It wasn't so bad because these are very highly trained doctors, so that was sort of okay. So after that, I moved hospital. I moved to, it wasn't a government hospital, but it wasn't an expensive hospital, and that was a big mistake I realized later on. So I went there. That was when the language problem became a bit of a problem. So every time I had to go with someone to like talk to them, and because I was like, I want to do hypnobirthing, and I want to do all this hippie stuff, and they were just like, don't know what you're talking about. They were like, we're gonna try and get you in for a natural birth. Like, try was the word in. And I was just like, this is insanity. And I was just feeling rough the whole time. I think a lot of the stress, it was very stressful. I still had all this visa stuff dealing with, so the whole thing was just stress. The hospital I done went, the new one, they weren't calling me in every 5 minutes for a scan. They were just like, come in when you need to. They were nice. They were nice enough during that process. So it was fine, but the language thing was definitely an issue. So I always had to have someone in. Like, even though my mother-in-law, she can speak English, it wasn't to the level of like having a conversation is one thing, but having a medical conversation when it's something serious is a whole different thing. So things weren't getting communicated. I was just like, just getting lost in it all. So
Yeah, that's really interesting from a midwifery point of view in this country, working with women that where there's a language barrier. I know we've got Language Line now, which isn't the same. And having a three-way conversation with somebody who has that medical information and knowledge is still very disjointed. When I first started my career, we never had that. And it was that old scenario. And I always remember this once. I was looking after this little Bangladeshi girl who didn't speak English. And I just didn't bother speaking with her. We just hummed and sang to each other. And that's kind of how we communicated. But I remember everybody else shouting at her as if she was deaf. She's not deaf. She just doesn't understand us. Why
doesn't
are you
understand.
shouting?
No matter how loud you're gonna shout, she still doesn't understand. Yeah, it is interesting. It is. My heart really goes out to anyone who's in that situation, because I'm quite savvy. Like, I know what's going on. I can sort of read a room. I can get these things. I can't imagine being in a situation when you don't speak the language and you're quite like intimidated by the situation. Because also it was such a rare thing that like Westerners having babies in India. It's just very uncommon. Like, it's not common at all, to be honest. Like,
No.
I've heard of maybe one or two others that have done it from anyone. So yeah,
Do you
it's
know what
quite.
surprised me as well? The fact that people just book in for sections and that they routinely do an amniocentesis. That's the thing that you were talking about with the needle. That's kind of blown my head away. And it's like, really? Why would you even do that? Especially from India, where all this holistic, where we go to kind of reconnect with our spiritual side. And they're ripping these children out of their bodies. What's going on?
Yeah, it threw me as well. This is where it gets kind of like political, in the sense of like, this is what the Western medical industry has done. And that's where you have these culture clashes, because England, we have this Western medicine, but there's a lot of pro choice over here. India is not really like that. So also another thing that I need to say is, I didn't know the sex of my baby. It's completely illegal to find out the sex of your baby in India, because of the a lot of, and you have this problem now over here. In some cultures, in some Indian cultures, when you find out it's a girl, it's more likely they're going to be aborting, not baby. You have high rate of like, so in China where they had the one child and they're killing off the girls, but in India you have that same sort of thing because of the mentality out there. So that's also completely opened my eyes about how you've got feminism over here and they talk about stuff like that. But when you look at feminism as a global thing, we've got a whole long way to go. So I'm very passionate about speaking up for women, especially women in India, making sure, because my son is half Indian, that he is respecting women. It's blown my mind completely. Because when I was like, oh yeah, is it a boy or girl? They were like, what? They were like, we can't tell you that. We'll go to prison. I was just like, wow. So that was also another thing that I was just like, it's just like one thing after another. I was just totally blown my mind. So yes, they have all this amazing Ayurvedic care and stuff like that, but it's been kind of like hijacked. And this is the problem with like privatizing every single medical thing, is profit is the motive, not the people. So that's why they wanna get everything they can from it. Because when you're paying £100 for this and £100 for that, in India, that's like a lot of money. So it's like that that's where it comes in, and it's like it's hard to say like the people that are doing this, like the doctors and the nurses, they've been trained, they've been told this is what to do, this is what to do. It's yeah, it gets quite political really. But it blew my mind absolutely when I was like, you can't find a midwife. I was just didn't know what to say. I was asking everyone. I was asking strangers, like, do you know where I can get a midwife? Do you know? And people were just looking at me like I was just losing it. And I think I was losing it a little bit, but yeah, there was like a very few, if I'd gone out into the sticks, into the villages, but also like at that point, you don't want to be so reckless when you are pregnant. It's your first pregnancy. So I was just like, okay, there's only so much I'm prepared to go. Then that leads me up to go into having the day of having the birth. Um, so then I'm having like contractions and stuff from midnight, and then it's going all night, all day. It's going. Then at 5 o'clock the next day, they were like, "You're just going to have to go into the hospital because we don't want to be doing this in the middle of the night. Like if something happens in the middle of the night, it's going to be a headache. So you're better off just going into the hospital now." So I got there about 6 o'clock in the evening, still having contractions, still nothing's really going on.
How often were you contracting at this point?
It wasn't. They weren't that close together. They
So
were
they're
like
quite
maybe.
irregular still.
Yeah, they were quite irregular. It wasn't like they were happening, but it was very slow. It was like I just knew that it wasn't really. I knew it wasn't really time to go into the hospital, but also I was kind of like at this point because I hadn't slept because of the things. I hadn't slept, so I was just like, okay, let's just go in the hospital. Let's just get this done. So I went in, and I was only like 2 centimeters.
So
So
you're in
which
a
I
really long latent phase of labour, and I suspect being in India and not having access to, had you had information or contact with me, then I would have been able to talk you through that phase and say, you've got days left of this, babe. You need to keep busy. Go out, sweep the floor with a dustpan and brush.
none of that at all. There was none of that. There was just like everyone was just like sitting around watching the clock, like stressing me out. It was just, and it was so hot as well. Like May is their hot season. The May is their hot season. So I was just hot, sitting on that bouncy ball, like with the AC going on and like eating ice cubes, and it was a lot. So then we went into the hospital and I'm 2 centimeters. So I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be a long wait." So then they put us in a room, and the room was like kind of, it wasn't that bad. Like the room that they, but that wasn't the birthing room. So this was just a room where we're gonna stay, and we went in there. And because I had done all the hypnobirthing, I was just like just trying to focus on my breathing, trying to play some nice music, trying to make it all. But like the minute we went into the hospital, my natural instincts, I just kept going into the bathroom. I just kept going in there. I don't know why. I didn't need a wee, but like my instincts was just like huddle on the floor in the bathroom. It was so bizarre. And
You're
I was
probably
just
trying
like,
to get away from everybody.
I was just like, it was just a natural thing. And I kept going in there and shutting the door, breathing down on the toilet. And I thought, okay, let's just go back out. I couldn't get comfortable. It was, and then So this is at like 6 o'clock. Then at 2 o'clock in the morning, because they kept checking me, kept poking around down there, and I was just like, "This is get off me, get off me, and don't touch me." They're like, "You're not getting any bigger," and I kept feeling like, "Yeah," because every time you look at me down there, I feel like everything's like closing up. I was like, "Stop touching me." And then so I'm getting frustrated, they're getting frustrated, and nothing's happening. So then it gets to 2 o'clock in the morning. So I've been up now for over 24 hours with this. They were like, okay, so we're going to induce you. This is when the pain is starting to really happen, because I've been really managing my pain up until this point, just with breathing. And I was so happy with that because I was like, yeah, it's hurting, but I'm all right. It's hurting, but I'm all right. Then they were like, yeah, we're going to just have to induce you. By this point, I was so over it. I was like, I just want to get this done. Let's go. Then they induced me. And the pain, I was just like, I just can't take the pain. I was like, you have to give me some drugs. You have to give me. So they gave me paracetamol, like in the liquid form. And I was just like, it's not touching nothing. I was like, can you give me more drugs? I don't want drugs. They were like, no. I was just like, oh, no. So
Did they go,
really, I
no
was
money?
no money, no money. They were like, no. They were like, you can't. So then after they induced me, I went into like this other room. The table, so you know, like a surgery table. It's like a surgery table. Like the mattress is about this thick. It's got the things that hike your legs up. I'm in this room now on my own. Before I had my mother-in-law there who was like trying to like help me. I was just trying to help. Bless her. Then I went in that room. There was no bathroom that I could go in. There was no, this was just like a surgery table. That was it. And then I had one nurse in there with me. And she was so sweet trying to talk to me. And I was like, not really having it because I was like, I'm just in so much pain. I was like, unless you're giving me drugs, I don't really want to talk about what my brother's doing or what my mum's doing or any of this small talk. And then I was breathing. I was really trying to breathe. And then she's like, are you breathing? I'm breathing, I'm breathing. And she's like, are you breathing for your contractions? Yeah. And I'm like, you should be telling me when to breathe. And like, that's what you're here for, to tell me when to breathe. And she was just like, she couldn't believe it. She was just in shock. I was in shock that she didn't know what I was talking about. Then at this point, I'm just getting irritated. I'm frustrated. I'm in pain. And I was like, I'm gonna have to cut him out because I can't be doing this. And they were like, no. I was like, I can give him the epidural. They were like, we don't even know what you're talking about. And I was just like, okay, can I have some water? They're like, no, you're not having anything until you're pushing this baby out. And I was just like, okay. Then I started feeling stuff happening. Then because they had to break my waters as well. My waters still had not broken. So they had to do that. So they're poking around all of this. Then they're like, okay, now the baby's coming. So then I'm like naturally going on my all fours on this bed. I was like, this is the only position I can do this in. They're like, no, turn around. I was just like, no. So like, you're not giving birth like that. And I was just like, I was getting so frustrated with them that anything that I was saying was just getting met with a battle. So I turned me up, pulled my legs up, and it was just so hard. It was the pain was, I was just screaming like a wild animal. I was just like the movies, you know? I was like, no, it's really tough, really, really tough. And then he came at like 5 in the morning. So that was like 3 hours of real hell. They came, so then he's split me as he's come out. So they've had to do some stitching or whatever down there, and they took him straight away. That was the other thing because I was like, I just want to like imagine like you just want to hold your baby, but I was actually so tired and wrecked. I was just like, part of me doesn't care. The other part of me is like, bring him straight back. And they're like, oh, we're cleaning him, we're doing all this, and I was like, I just couldn't. I was just so tired. And then they brought him back, but they gave him to my mother-in-law as well. So that was, she had him. Because I was just, and then they were like, oh, you can't leave this room until you've done a wee. And I was just like, oh, because they were like, oh, we're going to have to stick a catheter inside of you. And I was God determined. I was like, you're going for a wee. And it felt, I don't know if I can say this, but on
Yeah.
YouTube, but you know, when you're like, younger and you're doing certain substances and you need a wee and you can't go for a wee, and it felt like that, and I was like, all them times I need to go in for a wee, and I did it and I forced myself, and then they moved me back. But it was so odd that they were just like trying to battle with me and everything, and I was just like, when I was the last hour I was really screaming at them. I was just really my patience, and I had to, like, I really apologize to them afterwards because I was just like, "I'm sorry about all of that," but I was just like, that pain was
The invasion of the British into India has absolutely desecrated birth there,
mm,
hasn't it? From the sounds
yeah,
of it, which is maybe quite sad, really, because I never really envisaged it to be like that.
yeah.
I know at the beginning of my career, I had a lady who she had an arranged marriage in Bangladesh and then had come to the UK and couldn't speak English. And she came in to our hospital in labour and there was thick meconium, you know, when the baby is been upset or had a poo. So they put her on a monitor and the CTG wasn't that brilliant and she didn't speak English and it had been a really tense night. They were trying to take her for a cesarean section and she was like you, probably clearly didn't really understand too much about what was going on. They didn't have an interpreter. At
Oh,
one point, apparently during the night, the auntie, so there was her husband and his auntie that were there. The auntie had smacked her around the face because she wasn't doing what they wanted them to
yeah,
do.
yeah,
And
that
of course, I
doesn't
walked.
surprise me at all.
Oh, honestly, I walked in on them in the morning to take over from this other midwife. I was literally shoved into this room, and they said that they were going to have a meeting at 9 o'clock to discuss about how to move forward, about whether to section her under the Mental Health Act or whether or not she understood. There was like, and I was going, I think that's a bit dramatic. Let's just calm this situation down. I sent the auntie and the dad off for some food, saying, I think go get some rest, have some food. I'll look after her. There's nothing we can do until 9 o'clock. Literally, I just hummed and sang to this woman and stroked her head and then did eye contact with her and got her breathing. And then eventually the CTG started to normalise because she was relaxing and trusting me that more oxygen was getting to baby. So
Mm.
they were responding better. And then I was sitting on this like rocking chair beside her, just humming and singing and loving her. And then she came and sat on my lap, and I was sitting there, this tiny little woman on my lap, rocking backwards and forwards, just humming. And then all of a sudden, she just went, pushed out this baby. I was completely trapped. She like literally this baby up, and I mean, it cried, and everything was fine. It was beautiful. So I totter out at 9 o'clock when they're all discussing about how to manage this birth, and I'm going, everything's fine. We've had a baby. I've got placenta, and all it takes is a little bit of love. But
When you said that, when I was giving birth, my mother-in-law told me, well, the next day, she told me about her birth story, and it was just, it was horrific. It was absolutely horrific how women got treated back then. She was just like, she didn't even know that babies came out of where they came from. She didn't know. She'd never been told. She didn't have a clue what to expect. She was like 17, 18, marched into a hospital, wait there till it's your turn, male doctors treating her like trash. Like, it was just horrific. And I just think, yeah, so it doesn't surprise me what women have to go through in that part of the world. I think it's a serious thing that we should actually be speaking up about more. I really am passionate about it. A lot of the, yeah, and the fact is, like, it's so widely different over there. Like, what is acceptable and stuff, like, it's just vastly different. So I think women are not free until we're all free, you know. So, but it was just terrific. It's absolute. You just see what women are going through, and
I hear you about women not being free. There we go. So sorry about all of those technical glitches that we've had. Just as we were talking about the women's rights, the universe
yeah.
decided it was going to intervene and go, no, you're not allowed to talk about that. But we were talking about the differences between how women are treated and how care provision is for women in India in comparison to here. I mean, I think the women here get quite a raw deal where they're told what to do, sit down, and choice is, for me, is given as a word, just as a smoke screen. We're telling you what your choice is, but it sounds even more barbaric over in India.
That is definitely the word for it. Like, it's there's no real choice there. you have to, if you know what you want and you have done some sort of research, it's an uphill battle to get what you want, and you're not going to get it. But there is a center, like I was saying before, there is that one birthing center, but there's one like miles away. So there are people there that are trying to bring it back, you know, because there are people there, and like there's people there that's trying to bring the old ways back with a modern twist. So it's like, because I think a lot of what there are issues with before, there was like a lot of infant mortality rates and stuff like that. So I don't really know too much about that sort of history. I'm not an expert, so I wouldn't want to speak like out of term. So I do think there's a lot of old things, bit like old thinking habits that are brought forward, a lot of fear-based thinking that is like, oh, this must be the best way, this must be the way to go because of what's happened in the past. And you know, it's, you can't blame certain people for thinking like that, but at the same time, like, we still have a long way to go for people to be treated like human beings, especially women. Like, yeah, the way women are, not all women as well, but like I was there recently and a comment someone made was, I don't allow my wife to work. I don't allow it. You know, and and we were all sat there and we were all having a debate around whether that's acceptable or not. So obviously me and the other Western woman were like, it's not okay to say that. Then there was like an Indian couple from the city that they were like, he was just like, yeah, that's old way of thinking here. Like that's village way of thinking. Like that's not uncommon. But well, it doesn't matter if it's common or not. It's not right. You know, don't allow, like, this woman has like a higher education than this guy, so she's gone to college for what? Because you're not allowing her to work. So what was the point? Why bother sending someone to college or university or whatever to have an education to what? Cook a dinner, to provide, waiting on hand and foot. Because I know what it's like for women there. Like, my mother-in-law, I've seen, I was around a lot of the women there when I was living there. I've seen what they do for their men. I wouldn't be having it because they said to me one day, my son's dad was like sweeping the floor outside and the women were just looking in amazement. They were like, how did you get him to do that? I was just like, "Oh, I don't really understand why you wouldn't." I was just shocked that they were shocked. You know, I was like, I just won't be having it, to be honest. Like, that for me, like, there's a lot of things that I won't tolerate in a relation. I'm not gonna do everything all day, every day while you're sitting there drinking with your mates. No. Um, Also, there's like the cheating culture out there. Totally acceptable for men to go off and do whatever they want. And it's not saying not all men. Like they say, oh, not all men. Not, it's not all men, but it's a vast majority of men. Beating women is acceptable. I was there, saw a man dragging his daughter down the street, hitting her in the face. Like, these things do happen, and I don't want to always. I love India. I love India so much. The Ayurveda, the yoga, so much I love about India. The women there are so strong. Like, imagine going living like this and getting up. My mother-in-law every morning is up at 4 o'clock every single morning, no days off, every day working. The work ethic is incredible. So there's so many positive things, but like we should also highlight that these things are going on for women out there, you know. So that's just how it is. It's
Sounds like it's very similar to how it was like at the turn of the century here. And I mean, I know you spoke about a lot of infant mortality. That was quite significant here, you know, in before the medical establishment took accolade for the changes and improvements. And actually the things that hugely improved the health and well-being of babies and mums was real simple things like washing your hands, having clean running water, having adequate housing and a really good diet. And so
mm-hmm.
when we had the Housing Act in like 1902 or whenever it came in, and the Water Acts, all of those things really enhanced our well-being because our living conditions improved. And that had a massive impact on the health and well-being of mums and babies.
Yeah.
Um, it's really weird because it's almost like there's this massive divide between an extreme modern world where they've got this very high-tech doctoring stuff going on that seems to have come in and said, we're going to save your life and you can't do this without us. And in fact, you can't give birth without us unless we cut your baby out. And then this almost like whatever had gone on before was death defying.
I agree. I completely agree because yeah, it's like there's no way, and we don't. Yeah, like you said about the running water and stuff. It's like, but they can have all this high tech £100 scan a go. But yeah, there's still kids there that are still living well below the poverty line and struggling to eat. Like, but it obviously each in India you have each state is run by a different government. So it's a bit like in America, each state has its own things. It's a bit like that in India. So where I was in Kerala, until just recently, it was a very communist state. So it's a very different way to what a lot of other places are. So a lot higher, the education is a lot better. Like everyone there is going to school and stuff like that. So there are differences, but it's true. The water, you can't drink the tap water there. It's not like you can drink like you can like my son used to drink water at the bar and he had like a bit of a tolerance to it, but there's no way he could go back there now and drink that water. Like you have to drink filtered water. So it's like I wouldn't drink tap water in the UK either, but it's just going to show that like they can get all these like the AI industry there, the tech billionaires, like India's like growing drastically, like everywhere's internet, G, everywhere's Apple Pay or Google Pay or whatever on the phones. So they have all this like advanced way, but then you still will not being able to drink water out the tap without serious risk of your health. So it's very interesting to look at things like that, you know, and it's the same in every country. You've got this extreme wealth with a very few people, and then the rest of the people are just like trying to get on, you know. So you have that everywhere. So and it's no different there. And it's probably because there you have such a vast amount of people as well. Um yeah, the world distribution also reflects that. So yeah, it's a very interesting place to be, and just, but it definitely for me the sexism, the misogyny, like the man, the patriarchy, that is just very prevalent. Like you walk down the street, hardly see any women. It's mostly men. In cities, it's very different. Like cities are more, you'll get women wearing like short skirts and looking nice, like not looking nice, but you know they're being more able to express themselves how they want to express themselves, if that makes sense. It's a bit less in like the smaller towns and very traditional. Also, then you have different religions, which also impact that as well. Um, you have like a big Muslim community, a big Christian community, and a big Hindu community, and then up north you've got the Sikhs and stuff. So well, it's like a very diverse place. So obviously that reflects a lot, but yeah, it's a very interesting place to observe social constructs.
Yeah, I bet. So when you had your son, obviously you didn't get the golden hour, which we harp on around over here. No, no. I mean, personally, I don't think it should be a golden hour. I think it should be however long a person wishes to remain intact with their baby. You know, when the placenta's ready to be born, we shouldn't be doing anything with that cord until the placenta's out. But, you know, it's done differently. And they talk about a golden hour, which we hang on to as an element of keeping our babies with us. You never got that. Your baby
I
was
never got that.
away and watched. That's such a 1970s thing to do, I have to say.
I didn't get that. I've only got 10 minutes. I've only got 10 minutes.
Was you able to
Um,
breastfeed?
so it was, yeah, so obviously I went from the room back into my room and that I was able to breastfeed. I didn't really have any problems with that. So I was in the hospital for a week. But that first night, so obviously they gave the baby to the mother-in-law. That first night, the mother-in-law's put the baby in her bed to sleep. And I was just like, I was just thought I was going insane. I was just like, what's going on? I've only been vomiting for 9 months. Like, for what? Someone else to just come and take the baby. Like, obviously, she thought she was trying to let me sleep and she thought she was trying to help me. But I have abandonment issues anyway, so this just was like so accelerated, and it really spun me out because obviously I didn't really know what to do or how to communicate because I've been like through all of this. So she's like trying to take over the whole thing. She's just doing that from a place of love and what is expected of women out there. That is just a normal way how that goes. Is the mother-in-law just steps up and takes over, but for me, I was just like, "That's my baby, like, why are you trying to" and that also span out. So then and obviously, I didn't wanna vaccinate my child. I was very knew that was gonna happen anyway, but that also set in a lot of fear for me because I was just like, every time some doctor came in, I was like, "They're gonna" and they did, they gave him the vitamin K vaccine, I think it is. The first day I'm asleep, the baby's gone. Oh, we're just giving him some vitamins. I didn't know. I wasn't very aware. I was freaking out. I couldn't sleep after that. I could not sleep. I was in the hospital for 5 days. I was just so paranoid. I was worried they were going to give him the polio vaccine or I didn't know what they were going to do, but I was just kept saying, oh, because they were trying to like push me into it. They were like, "You need to give him this, you need to give him that." I said, "I don't want to give him." I said, "If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it back in the UK." That was like the only thing that I could say that they were like accepting of, but they just couldn't believe it that I wasn't gonna vaccinate this child. Even like I still get comments about it now, but they were just like, yeah. And it was because it was like this COVID time, and everyone was I was told, "Oh, you're gonna kill that baby because you're not taking the COVID vaccine." Like honestly, it was horrific. It was really, really horrific. So yeah, I was just paranoid 5 days in that hospital. Just
You were in
like
for 5 days. Why did they keep
that's the standard. That is just the standard. Like
see if they can wear you down?
how much you're paying every night. You're paying the bills of pound signs are going up. Cost me about around £350, which isn't that bad in comparison. It would have been about another zero on top of that had I been in the other hospital. So
Or here?
yeah, so I was just like, I'll take it. But yeah, you're in 5 days. You're not going anywhere. Then they was like, oh, we better check if he's got Down syndrome. Obviously, he didn't. But I was just like, how incredible is that they push all this stuff? Yeah, it's just yeah.
It's like a different world, isn't it? So you managed to breastfeed, which well done. In amidst all of that stuff, you managed to breastfeed. He obviously had the vitamin K. Now, had when he was born and they cut and clamp the cord, if they don't leave the cord to stop pulsating in its own right and allow the placenta to come away, then babies don't get their full complement of blood
Mm,
because there's about a third of blood exchange that happens in that period of time from the birth to the placenta that coming
mm,
away. Um, so I think in those needs, there's probably a need for babies to have vitamin K because if they've not got their full blood complement, then there's going to be, then that would be like me taking out a big chunk of blood out of your system and then going, go on, off you go and have a
yeah,
nice life, love. You'd be a bit exhausted and run down for a little while, wouldn't you? So
yeah.
I understand that. So you did really, really well to be able to breastfeed in that environment where you're totally disempowered. There's a massive language barrier. There's a huge amount of pressure to be doing things that are not aligning with your core values. When you left hospital, was that like a massive celebratory part
It
of
was,
your
it was
birthing
even
process?
worse. So it was tough because so I was the whole time I was in the hospital, I was like, I can't wait to leave. I can't wait to leave. I got home and like because I had been through all of this stuff, the depression just hit me like I couldn't sleep. Um it was really tough for me. I was not prepared for it. I don't think anything prepares you for motherhood in that first thing. And I was really lucky between the first month he slept fantastically and I'm grateful for that. But after that he didn't sleep at all. And the mother-in-law is again taking everything and coming in and it was just very overworked. You can't take in their culture, you don't take the babies out for the first 30 days. So I've been in the hospital 5 days. I'd been at home for a week just in this house. I was I'm not someone who can. I'm a doing person. I like to be outside. I'm not. I can't be in the house like that. I feel like I'm in prison or something. It just felt really. I just was so sad. And then I'm calling my mom. At this point now, I'm like, I've made a big mistake. I've made a big mistake. I've been through all this. I should have just come home. And obviously now I'm stuck because now the baby's got no passport, no visa. It's just like, I am really stuck here. Um, so I was starting to spiral quite a bit actually when I got home. When I let at my mother-in-law now, and I'm so grateful that I had her there because I would not have coped if I didn't have had her there because she did like all the cooking, all the cleaning, and the people were like, I don't know what you're so upset about. You're not doing anything. And I was just like, but my mental state, because I wasn't doing anything, was even worse. Like I've lived by myself since I was 17 and taking care of myself since before that. So then going to doing nothing all day with this baby who I'm just terrified of losing and terrified and waking up, checking that they're breathing and every time someone's taking them off me, my husband's like, you got all the help, go to sleep. I was just sitting there like buzzing, like not being able to sleep because I was, yeah, wired. I was just wired. It lasted for months. It was like that. It was really tough, really tough. Um, you don't know about like all this postnatal depression, like you're hearing about it, but when you're in it, it's a very different thing. You know, you can't really, you just think, oh, this is, everyone's going through this. This is just what it's like. The lack of sleep doesn't help. Then you know, I'm very grateful to my son's dad for that time because he was good at that point. That first year, he was really good with me. Like he must have thought, who's this crazy? Who's this crazy person? But yeah, he was really good. Like he really helped me a lot with that. And so did the mother-in-law and the family. They really did help me, but I wouldn't have got through it without them. But it was tough. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds really difficult. I mean, having a baby, that transition from being a woman you know to a mother you have no idea who that's going to be is difficult when you're surrounded by a support network of people you do know, of
Yeah.
people who will catch you if you're wobbling a little bit, who understand you and know you really well and will be able to say, right, how can I help you rather than just come in and do. They'll come in and sort of offer help and support in the right ways. But to be in a country where English is not their first language, so there's a massive communication issue. You're hundreds of miles away from your own family and
Mm,
friends.
mm.
You've had this birth that didn't quite really fulfill the romantic dreams of what you thought it might be. And then you get this baby, and they're like, what's your problem?
It's just like it was, yeah, it was just crazy. Like I had my dogs at that point. I had dogs and they were such lifesavers because I could take the baby and all these dogs out for a walk every day and people were like, this woman. But it saved me going for the walks. Yeah, it was really helpful. But the first time I took him out, everyone was freaking out. Like, why are you taking the baby out? Why are you taking the baby out? Because culturally, you don't take the baby out for the first 30 days. So they were freaking out. Um, I didn't know what I was doing. You don't really see that like a lot. Like you're not seeing prams. So I didn't have a pram for like the first 3 months. But I don't think I ever really saw anyone with prams or anything like that. Maybe once. Yeah, then it's not until the baby, because they have like, they go to the temple. They have this like temple festival thing. And then then things start things. So, but then they don't go, no, not, they don't have the temple thing. They have like not a christening as such, but they have like a celebration at 30 days. After that, the baby can go out, but then they're not allowed in the temple until they're, I think, 6 months. Then you have another thing there. So there's ways of it. Girls and boys is different, of course. Not really sure the difference with the girl, but there's different things like processes you go through. So again, all of that was new. They do all this stuff with drawing eyebrows on the baby, and all of this, which is like that's their culture. And I didn't know any of this stuff until I was right in it, and I was just like, why you keep be my beautiful baby. leave me alone. And they're just doing what they don't know. You don't know what you don't know. I didn't know. They didn't know. And we were just trying to navigate this together. And that's why I was like, having a baby in a country that you don't know like that well, like, yeah, it was very naive, like very, very naive. But like even to things like when he gets older and the feeding process, I didn't want him to have any sweet things. So I was very like, like this. And yeah, it was just they give like this natural sugar stuff, and I was just like, don't give him sweets, right? It's just like there's a lot of stuff like that that comes with having a baby in another culture, and you're not aware of it, and you just start. So for me, I took everything very personal because I was like, this is going on every day now. Every day there's a new something go out, but then I'm just like, whew. So it puts a lot of pressure on you, and also, like, you're trying to accommodate everyone, and you really just ultimately want what's best for your kid. Yeah, and then it ended up, he had to have his stomach pump at 3 months old because, again, I got pushed into taking him to the hospital because he had a cold, and I was like, "I don't wanna take him." They were like, "You have to take him." Ended up the wrong medicine got given. Ended up having a stomach pump at 3 months. They were like on at me, like, "You're a bad mum because you've allowed this to happen. Like, you're having to now sign papers to say you're not abusing the child." It was just endless. It was just absolutely endless. Until he got to about a year old, things started settling down a bit. Like, just the first year was just all this navigation, then he got to a year old, and I'm still breastfeeding. I'm still breastfeeding from till he's about 16 months, which was I needed to do that. I needed to bond with him. That was my bonding weight with him. So that I'm very glad we did that. Again, stopping breastfeeding, that's another journey. That was so painful. I didn't realize. I just stopped one day and they were like, you shouldn't do that. It was just crazy, yeah. But he's it did settle down about a year, and then things sort of started to get better with that. So yeah, but that was that first year.
That's what I would call a steep learning curve. Oh dear. I mean, I knew you had an interesting story, but I wasn't expected to get my mind blown away with it as much. So, I mean, hats off to you, Mimi, for going through all of that and for having the courage and the strength to stick at it. And I know at times on that journey, it would have felt like I don't know what I'm doing here and where I'm going, but I'm here and I've got nothing better to do but make the best of this situation. And your natural instinct as a mother, I feel, was a real, from what I'm hearing, was a real driver inside of you that kept you going forward on your journey for the things that felt right for you.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of adoration for that. You've got all these cultural pressures, but I feel like you kept saying, like, even just walking the dogs was your lifesaver, but that's your instinct saying you need to get out, get some fresh air, get away from that lot, and just be you with your baby and the dogs.
Mm.
And those were the moments that would have filled up your cup to enable you to go back into the lion's den and
Yeah.
have your bones gnawed on again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And those dogs, this is the thing, like, and I lost one of my dogs when my son was about 8 months old. And I feel like that was if anything would have broke me, I think that was the time because I was devastated because there was a disease that took out a load of dogs in the area. But then my husband, he went and got me a puppy. It's like, here's a puppy because he knew that that was my thing in the day, and having that, and it broke my heart to leave them there because they did so much for me in that time that yeah, it was a lot. And look at it now and I think, yeah, but I would do it all again for my son. I would do it, eat that and more. And even now, like, me and my husband split up or whatever, and because he's cheated, and there's a whole thing there. But for me, and I will always make sure that my son and his dad have a beautiful relationship. That is just not, and I'm not doing that for him. I'm doing that for my son. Like, he has his dad there, he has his whole family there, his cousins there. No, there's nothing in my mind that wouldn't make me want to make the best out of this situation for my son. Now, there's no way my son will be able to turn around and say my mom didn't do absolutely everything. That's just, yeah, I want to give him the world, and that's just how I am as a mum,
Mm.
you know. And even though, like, yes, I lose my temper and I shout and these sort of things, and I get very, I feel so much guilt around all of that stuff, and it's so difficult when you're a parent and you're trying to do all these things, but you're still at the ultimate. Yeah, what's best for my son? I'm just gonna do everything I want to do for them, and that's my driving force with my business, with everything. It's like my son has to have everything, you know.
Yeah, and I mean it's a testament to you that you honor the male aspect, his father, his role
Yeah.
model, and that you're keeping those level of his roots alive, because
Yes.
it would have been very easy at the beginning of your pregnancy to come back here and do it this way. It would have broken all his ties with his family back there, and there would have
Yeah.
been nothing ingrained. And at least by spending some time there, you were able to pick up some of those cultural things that would enable him to carry here to a
Yeah.
degree. And I know that you go back and you take him to see his dad, don't you? You were there recently, and that's so, like, such a credit to you and so invaluable, and an honoring mothering thing to do. You know, when I split up with my first three children, me and their dad split up. I was quite keen to keep that relationship going, because it was like our relationship had broken down, but their relationship hadn't broken down, you
Yeah.
know? And so huge kudos and respect to you for doing that. How was it
Uh,
for him going back?
so Sai struggled. So Sai has struggled with that relationship with his dad since he left. He wouldn't talk. We've been back 2.5 years, and we just went back now. So that was a long time of trying to keep the communication on the phones going. The beginning, it was not easy. Sai was just not talking to him, but Sai doesn't talk. The thing is, on the phone. If he's at my mum's, he won't talk to me on the phone. That's just Sai. He's like that. He's like his dad a lot, like that. So it's quite funny because his dad takes it so personally, but that's just Sai. At the beginning, I thought, so I've tried really hard to try and build that keep that going. Every so often they're talking on the phone with the grandparents and his dad. So we've done that. But when he went back, he couldn't remember anything. Like he couldn't remember India. He only knew who his dad was and his grandma was because they called regularly. That's the only reason he knew them. So it was so interesting to see that he had no memory of that. Like, I don't know if he knew when we left and came on the plane, but when I was asking him, he couldn't remember being on a plane before. So he had no memory of that because he was just 2 when we left. So that was interesting. We got there and he was so terrified I was going to leave him. I didn't sort of realize that until a little bit later on, but he was just, Mummy. He would not go anywhere without me. He wouldn't go with his dad. He just wouldn't let go of me. So that was a challenge in itself. By the end of the time we were there, it was sort of got a bit better, but culturally it was such a shock for him. It's like he was born there, but he was just like, and because everyone knows him, like we kind of like, we were in the papers and everything when he was born. So he's kind of famous a little bit in the community. And he's like, Mummy, why is everyone talking to me? Mummy, why is everyone like saying sigh? Mummy, why is everyone looking at me? Mummy, it's just like it will blew his mind. But I can say that his behavior since we got back has improved drastically. So I'm so glad that I did it because everyone was like, why are you bothering? Why, like you said, it could have been so easy for me. When I found out I was pregnant, I could have just left and come here and no one would have known none of the other difference. So doing all that, when he first started school, his behavior was dropped because of when they start school and they just start acting out. He was becoming very aggressive, very naughty. It was just, I was like, I actually can't cope. But then going there, coming back, he's just like, I think he's seen so much gratitude in the life that he has here, which was kind of what I was hoping because he's seen his cousins out there. His cousins don't have anything like what compared to what Si's got. He's going on about toys. Like his cousins like don't have that same luxuries, you know. They don't get to just get toys when they want or get to do this outing or do that outing or, you know, they don't have a choice. They can't be saying, I don't like this food. They have to eat that food. That's all there's no other options for them, So he's starting to sort of realize he clocked on, and he's also realized he has got a dad, he has got a family, he has got all of these people there that adore him to pieces. So he's had all of that experience and come back here, and it's like, wow. And then he's like, Mummy, are we going back? Are we going back on holiday?
Oh, well, that would be nice, because then it'll mean that it's something that you can keep doing with him to
Yeah.
keep that link in there. Um,
Yeah.
and actually, it'll be really good for you going back and really cementing a lot of that in core yoga stuff again.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just, yeah, I'm just absolutely overwhelmed and sort of in awe of your journey, because it's been quite a powerful, in depth, yeah, mind blowing story to be sort of sharing. So thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. I think
Yeah. You're welcome.
that having a limb difference gave you a foundation of determination that probably people like myself just could only think. And I think that that's put you in good stead for the journey that you then experienced becoming a mum. But I think that that is just a massive reflection about how and where you're going to go on the next phase of your journey, with the determination of doing, like, with your yoga and, making that sort of grow and be successful. I'm just so impressed with everything that you've said, Mimi. It's been really enlightening.
Thank you. Yeah, like when you say it like that and people have this reaction to my stories and stuff, because if I like when I tell them about everything that I've been through, my whole like my childhood, everything like that, they're just like, wow. But to me, it's just like it doesn't even register that it's been that. But I'm starting to honor that it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a big lot that I actually now need to process. And yoga gives me that time and space to process these things that I've gone through. That's why when I came back, it was harder to come back and be a single I thought that was harder, like being a single mum for the first time, like that I thought was the hardest bit out of everything I went through, and then to come back here and just be like with this 2-year-old, no house, no job. It's just like that is so I just was like, if I don't stay balanced, you have to stay balanced. There's no other way because what's the alternative? You can't let this child that you've brought into the world suffer. You have to try and okay, not everyone has some people they don't have that maternal instinct, but for me it's yeah, as the yoga keeps me balanced and able to keep going, and I get to share that with other people, so that fills me up. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm really excited about coming to one of your yoga sessions, because I think that's, um a really exciting thing to do. Are your yoga groups, are they aimed at particular groups? Is there anything in that's a main driver for you? Because obviously people know that I'm birth. So I want to do work with you and do work with pregnant women with
Yeah.
you. That's kind of a project that we want to work on. But is there anything in particular that's your main group
So
or drive?
with my yoga, I teach a lot of beginners. I teach a lot of people who that is sort of where I start with, is people that are just coming into yoga. That is just sort of where I sort of fallen into. I teach like hatha style, which is more about alignment of the mind and the body and the soul. So I'd always end with meditation. I'm very varied in what I do, but yeah, I just like to I sort of it's like what I was saying, there's no one size fits all, so I do just try and accommodate, but obviously you're not gonna be able you can't teach everyone everything. So I just sort of try and stick to my flows, and they're very beginner friendly. If I've got people in there that want who are more advanced, then I can give them more extra work to do, because it's like I understand that. And people who want to get back into yoga, I teach a lot like that. People who don't wanna do, like, all the aesthetic work and look like that, and I try and keep things very personal as well. Like, I try and a lot of people who come to my classes, they feel that it's not just like you coming in, "Here's your money, here's your class, and get out and go." Like, I try and build, like, that rapport with my people. But, yeah, like I said, like, with the pregnancy yoga, I would love to do that with women. I mostly teach women. I have taught men, but women is my thing. I did a lot of yoga during my pregnancy, even as bad as I felt, like it kept me going through. God to knows what pregnancy would be like without it. I think it's very important. I think it would be important to teach women after they've had a kid as well. Um, Obviously not for the initial first couple of months when your body's like recovering, but after that, it's for your mental health. Because I didn't do yoga that first year back. I was completely, I didn't even know where to begin. I did do some meditation. I made myself, like my son was like a month old, and I jumped on like a meditation course because I was just like, I have to do something. So I think it's very important for women, like through all stages. But yeah, just people who have not done yoga before, I like to teach people like that, because it's like it can be so overwhelming to step into a new class, where everyone's like doing headstands, and that's not that would put anyone off. So I like to teach people who are not coming for that.
So a friend of mine, she went off and done a course in Bali to do with yoga because she got into yoga. She got breast cancer 11 years ago, and I was like, you need to do meditation and yoga. You've got to have a complete lifestyle change, blah, blah, blah. And she did. And she's now gone into yoga and hit the menopause and kind of gone. And so really taking it up with a passion. So I've made a little spritz for her using, I do doTERRA oils.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm really into essential doTERRA oils. So I've done a blend for her for menopausal women, a couple of blends. So maybe we could work along the lines for something like that for your classes as well. And I'll do a blend that's a Kismattu blend,
Yeah. So
specifically for you, that you can have burning in the background.
yeah, that's oils. I'm big into the oils as well. I don't sell them, but I love the power of them. Any natural healing stuff, any natural medicines, I'm into all of that. When I was just in India, I was doing all the Ayurveda treatments. I'm teaching at Darcy's doing like a retreat, but it's all for the menopause. I'm teaching there as well. So I put like a flow together specifically for menopausal women and how we can use the breath and movement to manage those symptoms. So
Yeah.
it's like I love helping women. I do. It's been such a gift becoming a mum, because I never would have done that before being a mum. And it just wasn't. I was all about hanging out with the guys and all of that. So being a mum, I'm like, oh, this women energy.
It's incredible, isn't it? It's like my favorite thing in the whole world. And I tell you what, the menopause, when you go through that and you hit the fuck it bucket, absolutely fabulous. My favorite saying is, I think you need to tell somebody who really gives a shit. And I love that. Like it's called midlife for a reason, because when we are women, right from a little girl, we're told that we have to do this and we have to do that, and our job is to care for other people. And so we go into this womanhood with a whole set of tools that are just specifically designed to meet men's needs. And that's from that patriotic energy that's been hovering around. And I think it's on the decrease.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think it's on the burnout. I think that sun shower that we had recently, for me, that was like the burning remains of the patriotic energy going. "Oof."
Men are
That's,
struggling right
yeah, I
now.
did say
I'm
that.
sorry, but I'm not really sorry, because I'm loving that women are stepping up.
Yeah.
So come on, yeah, it's about time. It's
And those sad
fantastic.
posts that they say things like, oh, it's really hard for men. And I'm like, I don't think it has been for the last 2,000 years. I think we're all
It's been
right.
hard for
I think
women,
we're
and it's like, and not all men. If I hear another, it's not all men.
Anyway, so I've been, this sort of energy burning up thing, and the women coming in and stepping into the power, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely like thinking, this is our time. We're stepping into our power. And I get phone calls from women going, and the doctor said, and I go, draw a circle on the floor and step into it. And that's your power circle. And then just say what the fuck you like. And they're doing it. It's really funny. I was going, the doctors won't know what to say if if you just get off your chair, draw a circle on the floor,
Yeah,
imagine, and step into it. And then you're stepping into your power circle,
yeah.
and then just say, no, I'm not
You're
doing
not.
that. You did that in India without anybody around you guiding you, supporting you. So hats off to you. You have got one of the strongest woman powers that I have felt and seen in a long time. And
Oh,
I'm just honoring that, because that journey that you've been on, it needs honouring. It's been incredible.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. For a tiny, tiny, little, delicate looking woman, you're a force to be reckoned with, I reckon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny that you say that, but yeah, it's just like it's just looking back and just going, wow, you know. But everyone should be doing that. All these women should be doing that. And if we can, if my story just helps one woman to be like, yeah, I'm doing it too, and just gives them that, then I feel happy. You know, I feel like it's a job well done because it's like, yeah, women have been through a lot, people have been through a lot, you know, and it's about time women started saying, I've got this. I'm not doing it with these men no more. I'm not people are cooking and cleaning and all this paying a bit. I just stop doing it. Just say no, I'm not doing not being treated in this way anymore. Like I had an ex messaging me trying all this emotional stuff. No, not happening. We're not doing it anymore. We are teaching our sons, we're teaching our daughters what is the standard going forward. And it's so empowering, you know, and we should be teaching our kids. What world do we want to go in? A world where men think it's okay to abuse and beat and whatever else to women. No, it's not okay. It's just not okay. And women need to say it's not okay.
Yeah. And we need to step into our own beauty as we are, rather than it be this false stuff that's pleasing for men. You
Yeah.
know, looking after ourselves physically, eating well, drinking like plenty of fluid, doing yoga, mindfulness, exercising, doing us
Yeah.
as we are in our full beauty, and embracing every little flaw. Or like, I've got a huge scar across my stomach and I used to always hate it, but actually the older I've got, the more I've fallen in love with it, because the more I've thought, that's beautiful, that's who I am, you know.
Yeah.
And the strength and courage of you with your limb difference, that's beautiful, because it makes you, the beauty of your inside, radiate out, and it's attractive,
No.
really,
Yeah.
really attractive. You know, it's like a little magnet people want to sit on. But interesting how some men would
Mm.
see that as a vulnerable thing and try to manipulate you with it. But well done you for
Yeah, I've
standing
had
up,
that
going,
before.
fuck.
I've had men it's been a lot with men, that's a story for another time.
Yeah,
Yeah, like, I'm not doing it anymore, and I'm not settling anymore. It's
good.
just not I'm just not doing it, and I will not show my son that that is what a woman does. It just will not be happening. Like, my son
Mhm.
will know that my mum like, people say what I think about his dad, and he might watch this, he might not, but, like, even no matter how much I would wanna have that family thing, I will never ever show my son that that is acceptable. You'll never go back, you know, so it doesn't matter. It
Hats
doesn't
off.
matter.
Oh, utter respect for you, honestly, Mimi. It's been so incredible. I feel so energized talking to you and hearing your story. It's been absolutely phenomenal. I feel really blessed that you were able
Oh,
to come and share this with me. So,
thank you for having me.
oh
I've been
no,
wanting to do
no,
this for ages with you.
it's
Yeah.
been an absolute pleasure and a utter respect for you. So, I look forward to the next episode.
Okay. Bye.
I'll speak to you a bit later.